So would you say that, and I love your analogy with the movie thing, because I went to see the Tom Cruise movie the other day, and I don't normally go to movies anymore, but I wanted to see all the action stuff because I know he did a lot of his stunts. And I got so caught up in the actual, like the jumping over the cliff on the bike. And I got so caught up in it. I was actually feeling myself like as if I was in the movie, as if I was Tom Cruise. Yeah. That'd be nice. Right. So, my question is this. So in that moment, I realized, well, I'm watching a movie, but I still felt the emotions in the heart, in the body, all the stunts I was talking about. So, my question is, so just the fact, so I want to sort of bring this back to what you were saying about, we're watching a movie. So is it enough just to keep reminding myself in my day-to-day life that whatever's happening to my body, mind, is really just like I'm watching a character in a movie, and I just have to remind myself over and over that I'm just watching this. This is really just a movie playing in my it's an experience being played out in the self, in the one big self. Is that enough to do, just to keep going back to that over and over and over?
Well, if it's your experience that you're perceiving, you are the perceiving element of the thoughts, of the sensations of the world. You're the perceiving factor. Yes. I mean, when you remind yourself and you also notice that it is actually your experience. Like right now, you are that, whatever that is, which is perceiving this perception. It's actually, it lines up with your experience. So you remind yourself, and it brings you to the experience of being, of consciousness, of the screen of awareness. Then it's a moment, it's an experiential moment of your true nature. You see. So, yes, initially we remind ourselves, wait a minute, I am not the character on the screen. I'm not somebody who is existing in time and space. I am not the memories. There are memories, there are thoughts, but I'm not on the screen. I am that which is perceiving the thoughts, which perceives the memory, which perceives the sunset, which perceives the world. You see? In time, this recollection brings you to the experience of being, of presence. And in time, you don't need to recollect so often, occasionally, yes, but your default experience is reestablished. Your default experience is not, I am Frank. I am Frank is a download because you are not Frank. The body is Frank. You're not a man. The body is a man body. Let's say. So that's not your default mode. That's a learned, that's a download that has been programmed in the body mind. And we have identified ourselves. We mean that which we are, consciousness, presence, being, the formless reality, has identified itself with a certain body of thoughts and memories and sensations and ambitions, etc., has identified itself. But that's not your default mode. Your default mode, or the natural state, is this effortless presence. Is that the reality which perceives, which is not an object, which is not male or female. Yes. But this does not mean that you cannot enjoy the movie. In order to enjoy the movie, you forget yourself for a moment, and you're enjoying the meal. Wow, this is a really delicious meal. So you sort of identify yourself with the body, let's say, to enjoy the meal. But at the same time, you're not spending your whole time. eating. It's just a meal, Like for when you watch a movie, you forget yourself in the movie. You are Tom Cruise, and you're experiencing this out of body sensations of, and that's very lovely. It's a play of consciousness, because in fact all of it is consciousness. You can't experience a sensation of being Tom Cruise or being whatever you are without consciousness. You see, consciousness is always there. It's you can remove Tom Cruise and replace him with somebody else. You can identify with somebody else in the movie, but you cannot remove consciousness. You cannot remove the reality which precedes the knowing element. And you are this knowing element 24/7. And this knowing element is not inside of the body or inside the car or inside the house. This knowing element is non-phenomenal. It's the noumenal aspect of your experience. Is that? It is the understanding. It is the knowingness. It is the love. Love meaning nothing is separate from myself. It is all myself. See? Like when you have.
So even though, sorry to cut you off, but because I'm sort of I'm still a little bit confused about this one aspect of all this. So where the awareness of all of what we see, what we call phenomena, but we're also creating it. Is that right? This is the part I just still don't really understand. We're creating it, and is this kind of a midpoint where we go from we say, okay, we're aware of all this stuff, but we're also it. We're also what we're looking at. It's all the same. Is that?
Because everything you perceive is made out of you. You cannot perceive something which is apart from you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In order to perceive something, there has to be a meeting. In this meeting, when there's a meeting, there's zero distance. You and that become one in that moment of meeting. So there is nothing that you experience which is not you. Everything that you experience is in fact made out of yourself, made out of consciousness. So in terms of the creative aspect, you need to realize that everything which appears to you instantaneously. You cannot experience something a minute ago or experience something a minute from now. You cannot step back in time a second ago and experience something, or go into the future a second from now and experience something. Your experience is always now. There is no time in now. There is just being. So everything that you experience is made out of being, and being is you. You don't stand apart from being. You don't stand apart from your experience.
So Magdi, why is it important to always go back to the part of being instead of, because we get lost in the phenomena, but why is it important to go back to, if it's all us, if it's all one, why is it important to go back to the noumenon as opposed to being aware of the phenomena?
You don't need to. If you are aware, knowingly aware that it is all I, you don't need to do anything. The only reason we need to return to the noumenon, meaning that the reality of all that is perceived is I consciousness, and noumenal aspect is the reality of the phenomenal aspect. The only reason why we need to do that is because we go back to the model where I am a phenomenon, I am the body, I am a person. Okay. And when we get lost in our thoughts and emotions and sensations about being a person, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? We only because of that belief do we need to recollect that, wait a minute, these are just a stream of thought. These are a stream of sensations appearing within I being the noumenal, the non-phenomenal reality, the perceiving element, the knowing factor. So you are correct in that once you are not defining yourself as somebody, a son, a father, a brother, a whatever, as long as you're not defining yourself. I mean, the body is what it is, but I'm talking about yourself, I, the self. As long as you're not defining yourself or identifying yourself in any way, you don't need to recollect anything. You don't need to go back to the noumenon. What for? You already are the noumenon. In the absence of being phenomenal aspect, you are the noumenon. This is your natural state. Our natural state, our reality, is invisible. Our reality is this invisible awareness, which is aware, perceives the screen, but is not perceived. I know I am, but I don't perceive I as something. I don't perceive myself phenomenally, but I know myself. I am. It's undeniable. I am is undeniable. I know that I am. And I know that I know that I am. And all of that is noumenon. Of course, I also know that this is a male body. You know, mom and dad call this male body Magdi. I know that as well. I know this table is made out of wood and etc. The color of this wall. But the knowing about myself is non-phenomenal. If you know yourself phenomenally, then you need to ask yourself, what is it that is knowing itself phenomenally? If I know myself to be a male form, what is it that knows that? It is I that knows that. So which I am I? Am I the male form that's appearing to me that I say I am? Or am I the reality which perceives that form, which perceives that thought?
Great. Thanks, Meg. That helps a lot. I really, one more step towards enlightenment. Yeah, I heard something the other day. When I had this, somebody the other day said that you can't fit form into formlessness, and that really hit a spot with me. Like, yeah, so I sort of like I imagine that, you know, when I go back to the noumenon, let's say, and I think, okay, so we're all it's just one seamless being. So to put in little forms into the formlessness, it doesn't make any sense. So that's been helping me a lot to undo all the you know, the stuff. Anyway, thanks. I'll pass. Thank you.
And the form that there is a tree, you know, and we say, oh well, there are branches, there are leaves, there is a fruit. All of that is a conceptual. We conceptualize various pieces, you know. And it has its purpose. It's a purpose of communication and playfulness. So there's a creative aspect in conceptualizing forms. But what matters is to know that there is no way to conceptualize being, to conceptualize consciousness.
Yeah.
It is the primary element, the primary factor. You can conceptualize downstream in the realm of perceptions and meditations. But the buck has to stop somewhere beyond any conceptualization.
Yeah. Gotcha. Thank you, Magdi. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Okay.